This could be apps that you already use, apps that you wish that you had. They're all kind of a combination of things you've seen before. So one way to ideate is to throw a lot of ideas first, as many as you can, and then pick your favorites, do research on them, figure out what's viable, what's feasible, figure out what your options are, what features you want to include, and then come up with lots of variations on one specific idea to narrow down what you want to do. So, as an example, let's try an idea from last year. So this is an idea that one team submitted for project pitches, talking about charity organizations with people. So this is a really broad idea. You can build any number of apps that do this. So we want to narrow down the scope. So first, let's think about the target audience. Who do we want to be using this app? You can make an app targeted towards everyone, but this is really hard because when you design your app, you want to keep in mind the audience, what they would like, and how they would use your app. So, for example, it might be easiest for your team to design for millennials because we are millennials. It's a lot more relatable for us. You and your teammates and a lot of your peers will be part of the intended audience so that you can ask them for user testing and user research. Maybe you would want your interface to be trendy and modern because millennials spend a lot of time on the internet. They know what's current, what's really popular. If you wanted to help parents of young children find charities to donate to, maybe you want to make your app really colorful so they can do this as an activity with their family. You might want your charities to focus on education and parenting. So for high-powered career professionals, it would be completely different, maybe even the opposite of the earlier one, because these would be people with maybe not a lot of time to sit around and browse through all these charities, and they would also be donating at a much higher scale because they're making more money. So as you're thinking about your target audience, you also want to think about potential features and use cases for your app. So maybe you want to put user profiles and preferences onto your charity matching app. You want to track donations over time, and then visualize these donations using some sort of data visualization library. Maybe you want to do incident response, so when something like hurricanes or tsunamis happen, you'll have some feature where you can partner with charities that target victims of these incidents specifically. So you don't necessarily have to come up with a complete set of features for any one app. It's good to just throw a lot of ideas out there, and later on you can mix and match depending on what you decide to go with. So something else that comes along when you think about features and use cases is the scope and feasibility of each of these things. So one important question is, where is the content on your website coming from? For example, last year we saw a lot of itinerary planners, but where are you going to get the content for each itinerary? So in this example, where are you going to get the charities for your website? One idea is to scrape the web, but maybe your team is new to programming and this is actually going to be really hard to implement for you. Maybe you want to crowdsource charities, so have users input their own charities and then share these with other users. But this brings in the problem of quality control. You want to make sure your users are inputting legitimate data, because as we saw earlier with the ideation exercise, users will input a lot of random trash. So other questions are like, how detailed should each profile be? How many charities should you recommend for each person? When you're thinking about the app that you want to build, you want to keep all these considerations in mind. So finally, a killer feature is a main feature of your website. It's better to have one really great and compelling feature than a lot of average features, because this is what's going to make your website stand out from the competition. So for example, with this charity matching website, we can have a really great matching algorithm. Maybe some of your teammates are interested in machine learning, and you want to use what you've learned to try and come up with a way to match anybody to the charity of their choice. Maybe you want to turn this website into a social network and have features like sharing information about charities with your friends. Or maybe you want to focus on donation tracking, so the visualization that we mentioned earlier. It's difficult to implement all of these features well in one website, especially given your time constraint of 1 month. So you want to pick one or a few really compelling features to focus and devote your time to. So once you have all these ideas, you can mix and match, come up with a few concise proposals, and then discuss among your team. You want to think about all these things that we mentioned, like feasibility and scope. Another thing to consider is impact and team interest. How many people will your app impact? How many people will it be relevant to? And is your team even interested in doing this? So these are just like some examples, like plus minuses. You can come up with pros and cons. So maybe in the end, you see that donation tracking for millennials new to charity is the one that has the most positive points in all areas. So now we have this narrowed down version of our previous idea. Now we're going to do research. You can look up what existing apps are out there. You can look up libraries that you might use to implement your features. And you want to rinse and repeat. So basically brainstorm more features, brainstorm more variations on this idea, and continue narrowing it down. So in short, idea selection and ideation is a way from going from 10,000 ideas to 100 ideas. And as you ideate, don't get too attached to any one feature or notion, because that could limit your creativity. And what you end up with might actually surprise you. So once we have our idea, we want to prototype. And wireframing is a low-cost way of prototyping. You want to show your page structure, content, navigation, or simple UI elements. Basically, you have a quick sketch of your page layout. You might also have multiple pages, and you want to show the flow of navigation and how the user will move through your site and interact with it. So wireframing tools. You want to iterate quickly, so pencil and paper is what comes to mind first, obviously. This is accessible to anyone, and it's really easy to use. But if you're not so good at drawing, or you want a more high-tech solution, there are a lot of wireframing libraries out there. These are websites or apps that you can install on your computer. So like Balsamic, Wireframe CC. You can basically just Google like wireframing tool. So this is an example of a wireframe that you can make in wireframe.cc. You can see it makes things a lot cleaner than pencil sketches, and it gives you some UI elements like buttons or this window frame that you can drag in. But if you want a pencil sketch, this gives you a lot more flexibility in putting in notes. This is an example of an audio player. And here's an example of iterating on multiple variations of this one play button bar for the audio player. So, for example, you can try a lot of different options. Talk to your team about which one you think works best. So maybe the one where the buttons are separated isn't as intuitive because this isn't how it's seen in a lot of other apps. As you're evaluating your wireframe, you want to think about things like learnability and usability, and this is what we'll be covering in tomorrow's lecture on design and UI UX. So a wireframe is what you're going to be submitting for your milestone 1, and it's important for getting down the layout of your website before you start working on it. And yeah, tomorrow we're going to be talking about how to approach interface design, how to evaluate and critique your wireframe. So next, David is going to talk about Git and development environments. So if you don't already have Git set up on your computer, you should probably start downloading it now, and David will walk you through.